The choice of games reviewed on my channel might seem random, spanning a variety of different eras, platforms, and genres. But I can assure you there is a connective tissue, an invisible thread that binds all of these seemingly unrelated games together, conjoining titles like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Game Boy Advance. I wanted to play them. It's why you'll see an overrepresentation of some of my favorite genres like card games and Western RPGs, and also why you'll seldom find genres I don't play as much, like RTSs or racing games. But is it wise to self-blacklist entire genres just because of my lack of experience with them? Is that fair to the channel or to the great games that I would leave untouched with this practice? Maybe there's as interesting a perspective I can provide by talking about something unknown to me. Star Trek 25th Anniversary is a point-and-click adventure game, and that's not a weird fit at all. Out of all the spacefaring multimedia IPs large enough to get their own video games, Star Trek is certainly the talkiest. Captain James T. Kirk engaging in a verbal battle of wits or a battle of wills with pointy-eared antagonists make up most of the best moments from the original series. And while there was relatively big-budget action and special effects too, standards and capabilities of those arts were a whole lot different when Lyndon B. Johnson was president. In a few days, we'll be passing the 55th anniversary of Star Trek, and if you did your basic arithmetic correctly, you'd ascertain that we're now further away from this game's release than this game's release was to the TV series it was celebrating. The youth of today would look back on this title in the same way someone playing it at launch would think of the 1960s, and as time inevitably marches forward, there are some things that need to be kept in mind when returning to this game. Beaming back to 1992 means playing a game from an era where manuals weren't just a thing, but a near required part of the experience. There's no tutorial to speak of, so finding out which buttons on the keyboard correspond to which actions can only be done by reading the manual, which is included as a file when playing the game today via digital distribution. For Star Trek 25th Anniversary, it's even more important, as the manual served as a primitive form of copyright protection. The in-game map that allows you to transport to different planets lacks a key, demanding use of a picture included in the manual simultaneously to navigate yourself around. An incorrect choice on the grid will be met with immediate battle from hostile forces. But getting over that hump reveals a game that's surprisingly approachable, and I think that mainly comes down to structure. Star Trek 25th Anniversary is not only based on the Star Trek IP, but very closely follows the formatting and narrative delivery of the TV series. It's broken down into 7 different episodes, which, much like the source material, are totally separate from each other. Each episode begins with a title card and a directive from Starfleet, usually necessitating beaming down to a planet to investigate some sort of anomaly, solving a moral quandary, and getting some dudes in red shirts killed along the way. But before doing so, you're on the Enterprise, and have a few duties to perform. You'll want to talk to Spock and get his assessment on your objective, and after doing so you can go to the Enterprise's computer and punch in some keywords from Starfleet's mission briefing to get some context for what you're dealing with. Once adequately prepared, raise your shields and arm your weapons just in case, then fly to the necessary planet. Should an enemy be lying in ambush, you engage in a simple firefight that demands just trying to keep them in your viewport while clicking on them. With the area cleared, you're free to orbit the planet, then beam down. And now the pointing, clicking, and adventuring begins. The majority of each episode is handled in this perspective, off of the Enterprise and instead exploring an unknown world. And it's also here where you might have a final control hump to get over. 25th Anniversary's verb list of talk, look, use, grab, and walk are all mapped to separate keys on the keyboard, and they need to be defined prior to clicking on something in the environment, not after. So you can't just click on an item and see what you can do with it, but instead need to define the action, then click on the item, even if said action isn't compatible with whatever you clicked on. It seems like a minor distinction at first, but what this prevents you from doing is just spam clicking everything and identifying what every possible move is. Instead, you want to start by using the look action to see what everything in your vicinity is, and then use Spock's transponder to analyze those same objects. Anything small enough to fit on your person you will want to grab, and then you can move on to the next room. Some items can be put together once you get them in your inventory in order to solve whatever puzzle the game is throwing at you. There were times where the solution to some of these puzzles were so arcane that I couldn't solve them without a guide, but I was pleasantly surprised to find that those were the exception, not the norm, and I think the episodic structure plays a big part in that. Each episode only has about half a dozen screens you'll be working with at any given time, and since your inventory resets at the start of each episode, you're only carrying a few square pegs that get paired up with the level's requisite square holes. By keeping the amount of variables in the equation low, it means that puzzles can often be reasoned through just by making a firm analysis of everything in your inventory and everything in the environment. And that's not all the game does to try to prevent you from getting stuck. The only real fail state comes as a result of death among the main crew, but otherwise 25th Anniversary lets you sort of stumble and fail your way to puzzle solutions. Oftentimes puzzles allow for multiple correct answers, letting you use these square pegs on round holes if you want, even if that isn't the best path forward. You'll still get to finish the episode and move on to the next, but you'll be evaluated on a gradient post-mission, anywhere from perfect work, Jim, to oh my god, Jim, what are you doing? The intended solution for Mission 2 is to use the transporter to teleport behind the pirates and demand that they surrender themselves and the hostages. But you can also just throw a bomb into that teleporter instead and get everyone killed. The latter will get you a scolding from Starfleet instead of praise, but it's a solution nonetheless, and experimenting with these bad outcomes was oftentimes just as fun as getting the perfect ones. But to me, the most significant feature present in Star Trek 25th Anniversary is full voice acting by the original cast of the show. Present in the CD release of the game as well as in the versions you'll find digitally today, every word you see on screen will be spoken aloud either by the narrator, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, or any of the other main actors. And for obvious reasons, that's not something you could do fully again today. This is an achievement when you consider the sheer quantity of dialogue in the game. And looking at text while listening to someone speak it to you is probably the lion's share of what playing this game actually looks and sounds like. And that's precisely the sort of thing that Star Trek excels at doing in the first place. I enjoyed playing through Star Trek 25th Anniversary, and it's a decent gateway into the series' gaming history because of its attempt to not only be a strong fit for the IP, but a strong fit for the TV show. It can be a little bumpy getting yourself reacclimated to experience a PC game of its age, but that's not too unlike trying to revisit a TV series from the 60s, is it? I couldn't tell you how it stacks up or compares to other point-and-click adventure games, maybe with the exception of Putt-Putt, but maybe that's okay. And maybe this is all the more appropriate at birthday celebration for Star Trek, precisely because I went where I've never gone before.